Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Wedding to Wed and it's by user FantasticSale3447. Sharing a different perspective, I got a shut up ring and then I walked away. Hi everyone, this community was a real light for me when I was in the thick of it 3 or more years ago now, and I still engage with it now because I really feel for any person who's been in a situation of waiting on a partner. I wanted to share my story and hope it finds who it needs to find today to maybe give them encouragement. Also, I'm no longer with my ex-partner, and I'm also not engaged now, so I don't have it all figured out, but I think it's important to share why I'm so happy now. Because sometimes I roll my eyes at people who come back to post about advice only after they've gotten engaged. Here's my story. My ex-partner and I, let's call him Tim, were together for about 9 years. What I couldn't see then, but I can see now, was that there was a pattern of non-commitment from day one. Tim took about a year to commit to being my boyfriend. At the time, I chalked it up to us being young and in college, but the pattern continued. Fast forward to post-grad, and we were both employed and doing very well. Even still, he found excuses. He needs to be promoted first, then he was promoted, so then a new excuse would arise. Then claim it was money, yet he bought himself a new car and motorcycle. I stood my ground a few times. We would break up and then I'd backslide and get back together. After 9 years of tug of war, we did get engaged and it was 100% a shut-up ring. I was hopeful that that was the magic trick that would make me feel whole. It wasn't. He wasn't involved in the wedding planning and everything felt wrong. A lot of other things happened in our relationship and eventually I called the wedding off. Everything was booked already. It was really terrifying. The months following, I did feel like I was dying, having to lose someone I did love, but ultimately knew wasn't the best for me nor me for him. Also, worrying about losing friends since our friend group was so enmeshed and losing his family who I knew so well. All of the things. Healing took a long time. Therapy, good friends, volunteering, and rediscovering who I was through hobbies. Being okay to be alone, it took all those things. Also, the key was no contact. Fast forward almost 2 years after breaking off the engagement, I had actually found someone new. I was not looking, it was one of those things I can only now see was a sweet invisible string waiting for me to find. My ex knew this and showed up to my house to repropose and brought all the things I had once said would be my dream proposal. It hurt for many reasons. 1, if he wanted to, he would. 2, he's only doing this because he can't have me. And 3, he doesn't care about my happiness. He knows I'm healed and moved on and is willing to jeopardize that. All that to say, I stood my ground and denied him and told him I was with someone new. There was a small fear in me to be like, wait, am I going to say no to what I always dreamed of for the potential of this new partner? But then I realized I wasn't saying no for the potential of a new partner. I was saying yes to maintaining this new version of me. This version of me was joyful and liked herself and didn't realize how much that old relationship had made me dull and insecure. So, I feel like I broke a curse. I'm no longer obsessed with getting married because I don't see it as something that will validate my worth, but will be something to celebrate my love with my partner. I don't get upset seeing other engagements. I'm overjoyed for them. So yes, I'm with a lovely person who got the best version of me, a woman who knows her worth and claims it. I've set high standards and he's met them each without me asking. He's even told me about his plans to propose, though I've never initiated that conversation and not even worrying about it. It's a complete 180. So hopefully I'll have an engagement to share one day, but also if I don't, that's okay, and that's the point. I hope if you find yourself not being fully you, fully vibrant, that you check in on the relationship you're waiting on. They may just be keeping you from the most magical version of yourself, stars, and maybe an amazing partner too, winky face, who will be everything you want and more. Well, Opie, first of all, congratulations on the growth. You saw it was happening, you decided to do something about it, and you're better off for it right now. And your ex showing up now, like 3 years after you've already worked to get over him with everything, he's just proven he's an ass. So good for you for not falling for that and sending him packing. You've once again made the right choice. Now, since Opie is not asking for any advice or any judgment, let's move on straight to the update to see how this story ends. I wrote a post about 3 months ago about how I walked away from a shut-up ring years ago, not recently. And I am now healed and with a really awesome partner. Here's the update. My fiance, the new partner from the post, proposed to me a few weekends back. It was truly the most magical, surreal thing. He did it on a trip and did it during the beginning of the trip so we could enjoy and celebrate the whole time together. I've been reflecting on how wonderful this dating and engagement experience has been. Here's 5 things I used to believe when I was the waiting for wed version of me, compared to what I believe now. 1. I thought that a proposal is synonymous with an engagement, so I needed to conjure up signs and clues that indicate he is going to propose. I genuinely used to think that a guy would just propose and there was no agreement or understanding beforehand in the process. I'm sure this is the case for some. In my case, we've been formally engaged for some time, and the fun part was having him surprise me with a beautiful proposal. In the prior relationship, I would be left in the dark and clue hunting and tea leaf reading. Facepalm. With my fiance, we agreed that we wanted to take this next step, and then he asked me how much I wanted to know about the process so we could agree on the surprises. I told him I wanted to know when he got the ring and when he asked my family for their blessing. Outside of that, surprise me. I've learned that proposals can be a surprise, but the engagement shouldn't. What I loved about this was he removed any anxiety, and instead, it was a fun anticipation. 2. I thought that getting engaged only matters to me, not my boyfriend, that it's not something guys care about. But now I know that my partner should have just as much enthusiasm as I do about the engagement. My fiance was openly telling people before our engagement how excited he was, and after, of course, excitedly gushing about it to our friends, family, and strangers. Early in the relationship, too, he would initiate conversations about this topic. That was new for me. I used to assume every girl had to initiate these conversations, and the guys just weren't excited about this sort of thing. 3. I used to think that my friends and family don't love my partner because they didn't get how our love was deep and complicated, that it was us against the world, when the truth is that my friends and family will be thrilled when it's the right person. Of course, there's exceptions to this, but generally speaking, this is true. Our friends and family have acted like their favorite team just won the Super Bowl. Big smiley face. Everyone is so happy we're engaged. In my past, people were more, I'm happy if you're happy about my prior engagement. If the overall consensus from those you love is concern, hear them out. 4. My partner isn't good at gift giving or planning. Those aren't his love languages, and that's why he hasn't XYZ. When in fact, regardless of my partner's love language, they are capable, caring, and value the details because they know it's important to me. Every detail of the engagement was so thoughtful, personable, and caring. From my fiancé knowing my gold and silver jewelry preference to the location and how he asked, all aspects of the proposal showed me that he sees me, knows me, and cares for me. We never had a deadline or anything of that nature, but had a general conversation of when we'd like the proposal to happen after we agreed about the engagement. He proposed at the beginning of our agreed window. That was another refreshing detail. He didn't want me to agonize waiting for it to happen, and he couldn't wait himself. He didn't wait until the last moment and whip something together or make excuses as to why he couldn't do something. He just did it. And 5, I believe that once we got engaged, all these issues, or the gnawing feelings that this isn't right, go away. Waiting for the ring was the only issue. But the harsh truth is that a ring will not magically change your relationship. In my past relationship, I sincerely believed that a ring would solve all our problems. I thought that the disagreement on marriage and timelines was a siloed issue, our only issue. That was not the case. When I got that shut up ring, nothing changed. The problem merely morphed into a new issue. In my current relationship, I was so happy before the ring. A big contributing factor was that we both communicated early on our desires and expectations and were aligned. I also think I entered the relationship with a posture of, I know my worth, my wants, and I'm not settling. I am not afraid to be single. In my past, I entered a relationship quite the opposite and slouched with, please don't leave me, I just want to be happy, even if that means I'll silence my actual desires to my own detriment. A big factor of this purpose shift was decentralizing my fixation on getting engaged. For a long time, getting engaged seemed like an elixir that would magically make my world wonderful and give me the validation I desperately wanted. After I left my ex, as I wrote in my original post, I did a lot of work to relearn how to love my life and how to be content with just me. For me, this looked like going to therapy regularly, leaning into hobbies, volunteering and community engagement, and connecting with friends and family. This helped me relearn who I was and find the best individually whole version of me. I write all this because, as I said in my original post, I have the biggest soft spot for those waiting to wed. It's an incredibly isolating, confusing, and difficult place to be. I hope this post gives someone encouragement and makes them stand up for their worth and wants. I also wanted to share an update because I received so many kind words on my original post. Wanted to share how it all shook out. Smiley face with hands. Well, OP, thank you for sharing. This was awesome, and you are proof that it can be done. So here's wishing you the best in this engagement and in your future. Take care, OP, and thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the Buttface, and it's by user Abracadabra. Am I the buttface for giving an honest answer to my girlfriend's question? I'm sorry in advance if I give too much information here. I have a bad habit of over-explaining, but I think this stuff is relevant. I'm 23 male, not great at reading women. Had a bad experience in high school. If anyone ever tells you the worst she can say is no, they're wrong. And I think now my mind just makes me second guess my initial interpretations. When my girlfriend, 19 female, together 1 year now, asked me out, I thought she was kidding until she said she was dead serious. Anyway, lack of fluency means it's very possible I misread the situation and was just an idiot. My girlfriend just got back from a trip to Japan that's the college's Japanese club took for fall break. We didn't talk much while she was there because of time zone differences, just a couple of emails back and forth. She got home Sunday and has been super affectionate all week because she says she missed me and because she missed my birthday while she was on her trip. 2 nights ago, she asked me what I wanted her to cook for dinner. To be clear, I have zero expectations that she'll cook for me, and I never demanded. I can sort of cook, but it's nowhere near as good as her food. I used to offer to make dinner for both of us, but over time she started countering my offer with one of her own, like, oh, you don't have to do that, I'm the guest, so why don't I cook for you instead? My favorite thing that she cooks is teriyaki chicken. I already had the stuff for it on hand, so we didn't even need to leave the apartment for it. She immediately got annoyed and said that's the only thing I ever asked for. Not true, I've asked for other stuff before, but I guess it's fair to say that it's what I typically reply with. I told her, you asked what I wanted, that's what I wanted. If you wanted to make something else, why did you ask me? 100% aware in hindsight that I could have worded that better. I don't remember how the conversation went from there, but it was something along the lines of that I'm predictable and never go out of my comfort zone, which is fair. I don't like traveling too much and prefer to stay home doing hobbies, watching TV, and gaming. Apparently, she later told a mutual friend about it, and he, 21 male, said the same thing I did, that if she didn't want to hear my actual answer, why ask the question? She got even angrier and said, I can't believe you two don't get it. And now she's not talking to either of us. My instincts tell me I was supposed to offer to cook, but she shoots that down usually, so I didn't even think of it at the time. Maybe she didn't want teriyaki because she just got back from Japan. I don't know. I'm sitting here on my phone before classes. I can't concentrate on schoolwork, and I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I missed. How should I approach this? I don't want to make her even angrier, but I don't know what I did wrong, and I don't want to make the same mistake again. Am I the butt face? Well, B, no, I don't think you're the butt face. My opinion is that your answer was worded just right. If you didn't really want to know my opinion on something, why ask me? That is absolutely fair to ask, and the way she flew off the handle because of it is a sign to me that this had nothing to do with teriyaki chicken at all. Maybe she wants to communicate something but doesn't know how to do it, and she's taking her frustration out on you, which is absolutely an unfair thing to do. So no, OP, you're not the butt face, and I think your girlfriend owes you an apology. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Analog Ascension says, not the a-hole. I don't like the expectation that I'm supposed to be a mind reader either. That said, maybe she wanted to make something exotic she learned how to do in Japan. Maybe she's feeling a little constrained and claustrophobic by eating and doing the same things again and again, and she doesn't know how to communicate properly or at all. I was thinking that too, and because she just got back from an international trip, saw the world and came back home, might be jarring to be faced with a settling back into a routine situation. Her birthday is in a few weeks, so I guess I'll try to figure out a day trip or something I can take her on spontaneously to break things up a little, if we're back to okay by then. Accomplished T1236 says, not the butt face. You're not a mind reader. Communication is a two-way street. If she's not communicating her needs, she can't expect the feelings fairly to magically shower you with mind-reading dust. She needs to grow up. And Spaceboat13 says, I honestly could not. What the F did she ask you for then? It seems like she came back and is bored of her life here and is just picking fights with you to break up. I could never be with someone like this. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Sincerely, a woman. Well, the community agrees OP is not the butt face. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. We broke up. I asked her to come over the night of the original post so we could talk. I started apologizing for coming across as rude the other day, but she cut me off and said it wasn't my fault. She said she was angry because my answer made her realize how different she feels back home than she did on her trip, and that the difference doesn't feel fair. Long story short, there was a guy on the Japan trip who had been before and told her about his favorite places to go. He invited her to tag along to some shrines, shops, and cafes. Different food and activities every day. She said, being out with him felt like how I think having a boyfriend is supposed to feel. But being with you is how I think having a husband is supposed to feel, and I'm not ready for that. She started crying and kept saying, I'm sorry, because she's been feeling guilty all week about not telling me yet. But they got drunk the last night of the trip and made out for a couple of minutes before she stopped him. I felt sick and told her to leave. She begged to stay and work things out. I said no. She got her stuff from my apartment, there wasn't much, and tried to go for a hug or kiss at the door. I stopped her. She was crying and said she didn't want to break up. I said, well, apparently I'm too boring to be your boyfriend, so what else are you supposed to do? She said, I don't know, I just wish you would go out more, or that I could freeze you now and unfreeze you when I'm ready to settle down. I shouted for her to get the F out and slammed the door. I'm not the yelling, wall-punching, door-slamming type, so I'm pretty ashamed of doing that. I want to hate her. It would be a lot easier if I could. A big part of me still loves her. I could have gotten over the part where she said this other guy felt like how she thought a boyfriend should feel, but not the making out part. I know she was drunk, but I can't get that out of my head. I'm numb for crying and sleep deprivation. I know I shouldn't take her back, but part of me still wants to. But I know that if I did, I would always be wondering if or when she'll cheat again, and I don't think we're ever going to want the same kind of lifestyle. I skipped classes yesterday, and I didn't talk to anyone about it, but word is getting around. A couple of friends asked if I wanted to go out for drinks last night, and another one asked if I want her to come over and play some Helldivers today to take my mind off things. I don't think I would be good company for anyone right now, though. I guess that's it. Thanks to everyone for the support, advice, hard truths on the first post. I'm going to try to get some sleep now. Well, OP, once again, you've made the right decision. This time, yeah, you could have handled it without the screaming and all of that, but still the right decision. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Kansas Hayseed. You demand to carpool in my car? Buckle up, cupcake. Was working for a business as a principal firmware engineer. Commute was an hour each way on the best days. Leased an EV which would barely get me there and home, but was carpool lane qualified. New coworker lived nearby and proposed that we carpool so we could use the carpool lane and save him maybe 20 minutes. Wasn't about to ride with him in his car due to his poor vision and subsequent lack of situational awareness. He asked if he could ride with me in my EV. Declined as I didn't need him to use the carpool lane and his added extra bulk might exceed the limited range of that early EV. He complained to our manager who demanded that I accommodate him. Be a team player for once, don't you know? Decided to offer carpooling with him in my pumped up Resmont 71 Datsun 240Z on a Friday morning. Turns out that he didn't like the volume of my music, the velocity of my car. He ended up taking an Uber home that evening and never bugged me about carpooling again. Yay, team! Well, he wanted to carpool so badly that he got the manager to get you to do it, but then he didn't want to do it. Some people are just super inconsistent. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.